We know that they didn't learn anything because they're denying that anything whatsoever went wrong or was chaotic or was a problem at all. If they can't see that, then those that lost their lives, nothing was learned from that loss. Hey everyone, as always, I hope you've had a great week. I'm coming to you with the week in review from a little different chair in the office this week because I was doing an interview here and I just decided I'd do it in the chair that I was in. So, as always, the updates on what's happening in Congress. We're going to include the latest hearing to get to the bottom of what happened with the withdrawal in Afghanistan, as well as speak about a funding bill for the Department of Veterans Affairs and my legislation to allow VA doctors to discuss medical cannabis with their patients. So let's get into all of that. Now, first off, it's been almost 2 years since the world watched in horror as Afghanistan collapsed. 13 of our American heroes lost their lives. I've had the opportunity to get to know the Gold Star families. In the 2 years since that withdrawal, what pains me and what pains those Gold Star families is that there's not one person who's been fired, resigned, for this complete and total failure of the Biden administration. In fact, we know that they didn't learn anything because they're denying that anything whatsoever went wrong or was chaotic or was a problem at all. If they can't see that, then those that lost their lives, nothing was learned from that loss. And that's painful. I'm not going to let that slide. I'm going to continue to ask the tough questions, just like we did this week in a hearing with the Foreign Affairs Subcommittee, Oversight and Accountability. 2 of the witnesses were on the ground during the withdrawal. They provided damning accounts of the decision-making process and the failures of those that were making decisions. And the ultimate decision maker was Joe Biden. Gold Star families were present in the hearing room, as I mentioned, and it was a powerful reminder about why we're still talking about this and still pressing for answers. There's nothing that we can do to bring back their children, the brothers, the sisters, the friends. We can make sure that their sacrifice was not in vain and that we learn from mistakes that were made. That's the only thing you can do after the fact. We can make sure that no other family has to go through what they're going through right now. And some of these Gold Star families, they have other kids that are still in service as we speak, and they're sitting there asking themselves, why are there other kids serving when, again, this administration has learned nothing? The death of a loved one, of a hero, that was entirely the result of bad planning, not bad luck. What has changed? They're asking themselves that, and there's not an answer that we can give them to say, this is what has changed, and we owe them that. I want to talk about something else related to supporting military families. Now, on the House floor this week, we considered legislation that funds the Department of Veterans Affairs. It's where I get my health care, the VA, as well as the Defense Department, family housing construction, military bases for the upcoming fiscal year. Now, this bill is important for veterans and active duty military families, from investment in veterans health care to base housing. It's a clear message that Congress has our military's back. It also pushes back on many of President Biden's woke policies. It prohibits taxpayer funds from being used for abortions or gender transition surgeries. It makes it clear that not a single dollar will be used for critical race theory, and it ensures that the only flag flying over VA facilities is the 50 stars and the 13 red and white stripes. Now, in addition to those provisions, an amendment that I offered to include in that bill was known as the Veterans Equal Access Act. And it was included in this funding package. This is a bipartisan piece of legislation to make it easier for qualified veterans to speak to their doctors about medical marijuana in states where it's legal, like in Florida or other states that have those programs. It's nonsensical where our veterans, whether their state has a legal medical marijuana program or not, are prohibited from participating in conversations with their doctors at the VA to discuss the option with their physician or their nurse practitioner about whether they should or should not, whether they should be utilizing medical marijuana instead of these narcotics or these painkillers, or to deal with something else. With more and more states now moving to legalize medical marijuana, the Department of Veterans Affairs and their physicians in these states, they have to be allowed to have those conversations with their patients. Otherwise, what's the option? That their patient go out there and seek some kind of treatment or care without making their medical provider, their primary care physicians, actually know what it is that they're doing. That is not the best path forward. So I know countless veterans who were prescribed narcotics following an injury, and they have finally been able to wean themselves off of drugs because of their use of cannabis as an alternative. I'm not a doctor. I'm not going to pretend that I know that it would be the right option for this veteran, but not for this one or for another one. But they deserve to have the ability to have that conversation with their doctors about what's right for them. I was glad to see that my colleagues agreed and adopted the amendment unanimously. Now we're going to be fighting to make sure that it's included in the Senate's version of this package and get it signed into law. So in that, I wish you all the best. You all take care. Hey everyone, thank you for watching this video. If you enjoyed the video, please click like and subscribe. I will be back on YouTube with more exclusive content, so stay tuned.